Hello, welcome back. My name is Mark. I am a youth worker in Birmingham, and we've got a little bit of time over these days together following the talks to reflect and respond to what has been said together. And today we've been looking at people unleashed and unleashed people in the book of Acts, and that is really exciting. And so we're going to have a chance to reflect on some of the things that we have heard about. You're going to need a pen and paper again today. So if you haven't already got a piece of pen and a pen and a piece of paper, then I'm going to encourage you to go and get those now. So pause the video and go and get them if you haven't already. Pause now. Fab. So hopefully you've got a piece of paper and you've got a pen as well. And what I want to start doing today is to think about what is it that is in your hand? What are you good at? What are your gifts and your talents that you can bring to God and to the church and to the world to serve and to love other people? That may be a hard question for you. It might be an easy question for you. But we're going to do this together. So on your piece of paper, I want you, you can do this in a number of different ways to think about those things. So you can either write a list. I'll show you how I've begun to do it. I started here writing a list. Maybe you're a list person. That's cool. I put leadership on my list because that's one of the things I feel like God has given me a gift in. Time. All of us, certainly I feel like I've got a lot of time now. That's something I have in my hand at the moment that I can give to God to be used and to serve and to love others. Maybe you want to do it as a spider diagram. So put your name in the middle and lots of kind of tentacles coming off. I've put down here listener. So it's not just things that maybe you're good at or talents. It can be qualities and personality traits that you have as well. Like being a good listener, being a loyal or a faithful friend, being kind. And then I've also put passion for young people to know and grow in Jesus. That's why I do the job that I do, is because I love young people and I believe that God has incredible plans for each and every one of your lives. And so maybe as well as things that you're good at and personality traits you have, maybe some of the things that you have in your hand are your passions, the things that you get really excited about, or the places where you really want to see change in the world. I've also, maybe you're a more artistic person than me, I clearly am not, but one of the things that I am good at and enjoy using to serve God is playing drums. So I've drawn myself with a little drum kit here. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do now. We're going to pause and take a moment to, in whatever way you want, drawing, spider diagram, list down the side. Think about what is in your hand, what can you bring, and what have you got to offer. Now, another great thing to do, which might help you in this, is to think about what other people have said to you. It's not always easy to think about what we think we're good at. So maybe there are things that other people have told you that you are good at. So we're going to pause now and have a chance to do that for yourself. Go. Amazing. So some of you might find that really difficult. Some of you might have found that really hard, and that's okay. But all of us, regardless of whether you've thought of one thing, 50 things, or nothing, every single one of you, I believe, has gifts and talents and personality traits and passions and experiences that God has given you and that he wants to use in your life. And there are some ways that we can explore that more, and I'm just going to throw out some other ways you might want to reflect and respond. One is ask other people. Ask people that you trust what you're good at and what they value about you and what God has given you to use. Maybe that's your parents, maybe that's close friends, maybe that's youth workers. Do that, because often things that we don't see in ourselves, other people do see in us. There's a couple of other things that you can do. One is to go to the Mission Styles website, missionstyles.org, and you can find a questionnaire on there created by a charity called Fusion. And you fill in a bunch of questions, fairly quick fire. And at the end, it gives you an idea of, for you and your personality, what might be the best way or the most natural way for you to share your faith. And me and a bunch of my young people have just found that really helpful to think about the different ways we can share faith and the ways that might be most natural for us, so that we can live out kind of who we were called to be, not try and be someone else. Another thing you could do and look up is a spiritual gifts questionnaire. So there are a load of these online. I would recommend that you speak to maybe a family member, maybe it's a youth worker or a church leader, to see if they've got one they've used that they think is good, because not all of them are as good as each other. With our young people, we use one from a CPAS resource called Growing Leaders. So that's the one that we use. But that again is just a way you fill out a bunch of questions, and off the back of that, it tells you what your spiritual gifts that God has given you might be. And it's just another tool. Neither of these are about saying you have to do this or this is exactly who you are. They're just a few tools to help us to think about the way that we were made and how we might use our gifts and what our gifts might be. They're not about putting you in a box, and if you think it's wrong, that's totally okay. But it might help you see and understand yourself in a new way and realise things that you can do that you hadn't realised before. The next thing to do is to ask God for a gift that you want from him. And so I'm going to encourage you to do this now, to find a piece of paper. Maybe you've got a journal or a prayer diary or something like that. I'm going to encourage you to write a prayer and ask God for a gift or something that you want him to give you that would help you live out your life and contribute to what God is doing in this world. It might be a spiritual gift that you want to ask for, of prophecy or leadership or healing, any number of things, serving, administration. It might be a fruit of the Spirit, like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. Something that you want to ask God for to help you live out your life for him. So I'm going to give you a chance now to do that. So pause and go. So hopefully you've had a chance to write down that prayer. I'm going to encourage you to keep that somewhere and to come back to that at a later date, because you may not feel like God has done something instantaneously, but it might be that as you look over the next few weeks or months or years, that God has really answered that prayer. And the final thing for today is to encourage others in their gifting too. You know, it's great to think about what our gifts are, but we also want to encourage others. So I want you to think about two people and something that you see in them that is great, that you love about them, and tell them in the next week what it is. So think of two people now and think of two things, one for each person, that they are really good at, and commit to saying that to them in this next week. The other thing that you can do is to do this as a family, to pray together and to pray for one another for those giftings. Maybe you could do it with friends over a video call. Maybe you could do it as a family. Encourage one another and ask God together for those gifts that you want to see him do. Thanks for joining us today, and I will see you again tomorrow.